I hate Dragon Ball DAIMA.
Dragon Ball DAIMA sucks.
It's awful.
It really just comes off as lazy, and no, it is lazy.
It's crap. I can't believe they made this. This is an insult to Toriyama.
This might have been the biggest generational fumble of a finale I've ever seen.
I'm sure that you've come across videos and comments saying things like this about Dragon Ball DAIMA. Well, what about Japan? Are there people in Japan that feel the same way? Or do people in Japan like Dragon Ball DAIMA a lot more than the English side of the fandom? That's what I want to talk about today. Hey guys, my name is Tony, and I talk about Dragon Ball and anime stuff from the perspective of somebody who could actually read, speak, and understand Japanese. So if you're into that kind of thing, please support the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into it. So in order to answer the question of how Japanese fans feel about Dragon Ball DAIMA, I'm going to go into my experiences consuming Japanese-produced content about DAIMA, looking at social media, looking at Japanese message boards, and seeing what people are saying. And the reality is that I can't really say everybody likes DAIMA or everybody hates DAIMA. It's a lot more complicated than that. But I'd like to begin with a few comments that I've come across, both on YouTube videos and message boards from actual Japanese people. It wasn't fun, but it also wasn't as painful to watch as GT was. Goma's design is so lame. What kid would actually like that? Even though the Sakuga was good, the story was stupid. DAIMA wasn't popular at all at my junior high. I'm an elementary school student, and it wasn't popular among my friends. My parent watched all of Super, and they've watched a wide variety of anime. They said that DAIMA was boring. That's the first time that I've ever heard them say that about an anime. So that says a lot about DAIMA. I specifically chose only negative comments just to show you that there are people that didn't like DAIMA. And for the most part, they're saying the exact same things that a lot of people in the English-speaking fandom have said. But that doesn't mean that everybody in Japan hates DAIMA. There's definitely a section of the fandom that really enjoyed it. But there's also a section of the fandom that hasn't been 100% honest with their opinions. Why do I say that? Well, when I was looking around and looking for reviews of DAIMA from the Japanese side of things, I came across a video that was a genuine, honest criticism of Dragon Ball DAIMA. It's only around 4 minutes. It's not by some huge, super famous person, but it was a totally reasonable video with some good points. And in that video, the person basically apologizes for being so negative about Dragon Ball DAIMA. He says he understands that this is something that people shouldn't do. You shouldn't attack a work. And then he goes on to criticize the work because he wanted to express his honest opinion. And again, this isn't like some crazy negative over-the-top video. It's perfectly reasonable. His critique was just totally normal, not like super inflammatory or anything like that. But I think that's a general sentiment that you see within the content creation community in Japan. People aren't going to be overly negative and sensational for the most part. There's exceptions. There are people that love to really push the envelope, but most content creators are going to be very careful about how they critique something. So even if they didn't like DAIMA, they're not just going to come out and say that it's an utter piece of crap. They might point out something here or there, but for the most part, they're going to be positive. Of course, there's a couple different reasons for that. One is money. They don't want to jeopardize any possible opportunities for advertisers and things like that, especially if they're a major, kind of big YouTuber. Also, well, I think in Japan, people tend to be a bit more, let's just say, reserved. You might even say respectful. They don't tend to automatically just be super negative. And part of the reason that is fear of backlash. They don't want to be the target of people just getting all super negative in their comments and become a target of that kind of negativity themselves. So generally speaking, even when people are negative about, let's just say, DAIMA or another anime, they tend to be very careful in how they say things, and they tend to acknowledge that maybe this is an unpopular opinion and you don't have to listen to it if you don't want it. Don't worry, you can stop watching, blah, 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 blah. They're very defensive when they do this. Again, there's exceptions here or there, but in my experience, watching people that talk about anime in Japan and watching people that have been analyzing and breaking down Dragon Ball DAIMA in Japan, I've seen a lot of that very careful wording or just completely avoiding any negativity. As for the Japanese mainstream media, yeah, they're basically either just neutral, as in like quoting what people have been saying, or generally more on the positive side. I haven't come across any very negative critiques of Dragon Ball DAIMA within major Japanese websites. So what does that leave us with? Does Japan love or hate Dragon Ball DAIMA? The reality is that as far as I can tell, most people tend to be somewhere in the middle. Maybe a little bit more on the positive side, maybe a little bit more on the negative side. There's definitely people that did not like DAIMA. They really think it was a failure. They thought it was incredibly boring and pointless. There's also a group of people that like it, but interestingly enough, I haven't come across anybody that has been incredibly over-the-top positive about DAIMA. I haven't seen anybody say that it's the best thing since the original manga run and that everybody needs to watch it and this is going to revolutionize DAIMA, blah, blah, blah. Nothing to that level. I've just seen people saying, oh, it was fun, I like the jokes, it was enjoyable, oh, I'm so happy that Akira Toriyama gave us this and that, and blah, blah, blah. That kind of general sentiment. And as far as I can tell, I think that's the general sentiment in the English-speaking language world. So in this case, I do think that there's quite a bit of overlap in how fans feel about Dragon Ball DAIMA. But I want to leave you with this YouTube comment made by somebody in Japan. Let me see, how can I put this? I'm seeing people on social media praise DAIMA because Akira Toriyama wrote it. If Toyotaro had written it, people would be shitting all over it. I know that's a spicy comment, but I really want to know what you guys think. Do you think that people would be a lot more critical if Toyotaro had written DAIMA? By the way, thank you so much to DJ Amp. He is the one that requested this video, and I think it was a great topic. Hopefully you found it interesting, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.